when it comes to the issues of women in society and the role of government, what they can do, I think it comes back to a simple expression that I've been using for years, and is this expression known as people will be what they can see. So people will be what they can see. So just think through what that means in terms of role modeling and people aspiring to be in the next position or the next career or in their next step in life, whatever it is. People, all of us, men and women, get their cues from what they see. So if we're going to make society more open and free for women as well as men, we've got to set the conditions such that more women see the opportunity in leadership, in government, in business, in school and education, to understand that stereotypes or roles or what women can do or men can do are all just a legacy of history, or it's a part of culture that needs to be revised. And so what I had a lot of fun doing, not only in the military, but especially in the private sector, was going out and making sure that we were bringing in women in leadership positions at every level, but most importantly, empowering them not based on gender, but based on their skills, based on their competency, and based on their contribution to the team. And there's a story that I tell all the time that shortly after selling my company to Mercedes brought in their human resources team. I'm talking about what positions do you need and what are your goals and what do you want to have? And I said, well, we're going to have a huge engineering team, and no matter how big it gets, I would like it to be 50-50 as best we can of men and women. And I remember distinctly being told, what? You can't have hiring quotas based on gender. And I said, okay, I get it. But if we don't change who's in the leadership positions, how are we ever going to inspire more women into engineering? So I said, okay, if I can't have hiring goals, let me say it in a different way. I'd like to have 50-50 men and women in our engineering department. And got into a little trouble by just saying the exact same thing again. But what I found out is that in the end, when we had 15, 20 engineers by the time we reached our max capacity in the company, we had 2 women. Now that's a number of reasons that contribute to that. One of them is just my own personal network, not knowing enough women engineers, but we worked very hard to bring in more women and attract women into our company. But in the end of the day, it's about the pipeline. So therefore, I asked the next question. Well, if I can't fix it today in our company, what can I do long term to be able to make it so that more women are participating in engineering and STEM and leadership positions in our company? And the answer came from an organization here in Texas called Girl Start. And they've figured out from the body of literature that girls at the age of 4 and 5 are actually outperforming boys their age in math and science and a lot of subjects in school. But then comes middle school, the buzzsaw that just cuts off confidence and the ability for people to feel good about themselves and what they're doing, and it impacts women disproportionately, or young girls disproportionately. And so Girl Start hopes to say, look, you're good at engineering and science and math and computer programming, so when you get to middle school, ignore those people, girls and boys, who are going to pressure you to say you can't be good in math or science or engineering. And computer programming, that's not for girls. And we can fight it so that when they get to high school and college, you have a situation where computer science classes aren't the majority men, but closer to what society really looks like, which is 50-50. And when more people are exposed to people different than them, it starts to break down barriers. And it's no different than with women in terms of being able to allow them to be in positions of leadership. So younger women, not just in the company, but younger women in college and in high school and in middle school, looking up, see people in those positions and say, I intend to do that, not because it's a woman there, but because it's a person that they identify with and realize, man or woman, that job is open to me and I want to go be a part of it. And that's just the first step. But in addition to that, in a company, in any organization, you have to recognize that if we want more working moms in the economy, we want to make it easier, it has to include everything from being allow them to have time to pump for new moms. It has to be available so that the healthcare plans are including not just basic coverages, but also fertility treatments. It's going beyond where we are today, thinking about the roles of men and women and going forward. So when we talk about giving time for women after they deliver a baby, why not also include the men? It's not just maternal leave, It should be paternal leave. It should be both men and women, both parents participating in that time in life. If you talk about family values, what's better than making sure that those parents have time to be together as a family? And you talk about retention and bringing people back, you'll get back people into the workforce. You'll get more women back in, but if for some reason it becomes a trap door and once they fall through, they can't return, well, then we're leaving all kinds of potential on the table. Human capital and experience that could be making companies better, and that's just from the business sector. When you look at women and their choice, women and their ability to make decisions about their health care, women being able to work with their doctor and not have government interfere with what's best for their needs and their desires or their belief or their passion or their spirituality, that is where we need to be. Not fear-mongering, not going backwards in time, but making sure that we reach at scale to allow women to make decisions in all aspects of their life, not just their health care, but when and where they want to start a family, when and where they want to live, and making it so they have the same opportunities as anybody of the opposite gender in any company or school that they're a part of. And it doesn't happen because you have girls or you have boys as a parent. It doesn't even matter if you grew up in a family with brothers and sisters or only brothers or only sisters. The fact of the matter is we have a role and responsibility in education, and I think that over time we'll get better, but it comes back to the idea that people will be what they can see. And at the federal level, as a member of Congress, if I can't provide the incentives for business and government to be able to have women in those positions of leadership, you do the next best thing that you can. You hire every talented woman that you can find and promote them based on their abilities and their capabilities, and then everything will take care of itself over time, and then we'll get to a much better spot that we need to be.